Cute Snowman on a Bottle Polymer Clay Tutorial by HotPinkZebraPaper.
Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you my grandmother's Christmas present. I know a week ago I showed you my mom's, so this one is for my grandma. This one is very similar to the one that I did for my mom as far as style goes. So it's a red bottle, not a wine bottle. This is one that I actually just found at Hobby Lobby. They have a huge selection of colored glass. So if you guys are doing any kind of project like this, definitely check that out because it's amazing. So this is just a triangular bottle, and I sculpted a snowman on it, and it's just really pretty and really simple. And then I got these lighted twigs that come out the top of it, and I put a bow on it, and it's something that I know that she will love. So I hope you guys like this as much as I do, and don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well.
So to start with, I'm going to be sculpting my little snowman body pieces. So I'm going to roll 3 spheres of clay. Each one is slightly smaller than the last, so just roll those in your hands, get the clay nice and soft and warm. Flatten your largest sphere, and actually I flattened all of them at once, but take your largest sphere, flattened, and set that onto your bottle. Really press it down, smooth down the edges, really just kind of smooth over it, the entire thing. Make it as round and as smooth as possible. Grab your next one. After you have where you know how much space the next one is going to overlap on the previous one, sort of pull that clay away so that it doesn't overlap and create these little like uprises, so it doesn't look like stairs. Do the same for your last little snowman. So you've got his head, his middle, and his bottom half, and just take and smooth those all out. As you can see, they don't stick out too far between each one as I laid that down for a second. Then I'm going to take a toothbrush, and I'm going to be texturizing my snowman. And so I'm using a toothbrush that is clean, never been used, fresh out of the package, because my dentist insists on giving it to me even though I have an electric toothbrush and will never use it, but it's good for other things. And then I'm going to take the back side of that toothbrush that's got a nice little point on it and use that to create indents for his arms and his buttons and his eyes and his nose. And then take all of that stuff and you're gonna be adding details to it. So add a carrot nose, add his eyes out of coal. When I rolled those little balls for his buttons and his eyes, and I just stabbed around at them with one of my pick tools. And then you are going to need to make his scarf. So just roll out a nice little strip of clay for his scarf, cut off a piece, take it, square it up, and then take one of your pick tools and just texturize it. So run the pick tool across it one direction, or one of your clay tools, whatever you're using. Run it across one direction, then go across the other direction. Give it that nice material appearance, that nice material texture. Then you're going to do this again. This is for the part of the scarf that's hanging down. So just texturize it once again. Roll out that nice long rectangle. Texturize it, cut it in half if it's too long, like mine was way longer than I needed it. And then do the back half of your scarf first. After you have that down, just cut it, the very end of it, to create the little tassels on the end of the scarf, or the extra little yarn bits. Then fold over your last piece of your scarf, and then do the same where you cut off or cut up the little bottom of it. Then I'm going to take, and I just added a little texture on his nose with my pick tool, and then I'm going to be adding his arms with long snakes of clay. I always consider, whenever I roll out something like that, I always call it a snake. It's what I always do. So then you have his two arms, add those in there like so. I love sculpting something just out of white and then painting it later. I think that gives me a lot more freedom with the coloring. I like to paint, so it works out well for me. If you guys don't, definitely do all of this with different colors of clay, brown for his arms, orange for his nose, etc. And then you won't have to worry about the painting part. You can just skip over that. Then I'm going to be making his hat. So I rolled out a nice thick piece, and I added the top hat of his hat, and then added the brim with another piece just sticking out like so. Kind of blend that out and try to attach it really well without pressing so hard that you ruin the shape. So it's a balancing act. If you do have some liquid clay, that could definitely help. I don't know why I didn't even think about using that until now, but liquid clay is a great thing to use as sort of a clay glue. Then add a little bit of a ribbon on his hat, or a trim piece going across it right above the brim. And then take some little bits of clay and add leaves to his hat for a little bit of holly. And then I'm going to take, like I said, and if you guys pre-did all of this, you wouldn't have to do too much painting. It would definitely be an easier process if you did everything with colored clay, and then, you could skip some of this. But when you're painting his body, and well, I guess everything that's snow, you're going to want to blend in some gray and some blue. So don't just make it stark white. You want it to have a nice little gradation. And if you use slightly diluted paint, it'll rest in all of that texture that you made with your toothbrush, and it'll really bring it out and make it look so much deeper, and I don't know, it just makes it look a little bit more snowy. So just add all of that little shadowing on his face. And then with charcoal color paint, I'm going to be painting his hat. And if you're wondering why I use charcoal instead of black, I, generally speaking, in my paintings, I try to reserve black paint, true black paint, for the whatever I want to seem the most intense. So if it's something that has eyes, which a lot of what I paint has eyes because I like to paint animals, so they have eyes. I like to reserve my black for the eyes, and the darkest thing on the rest of the painting generally for me is going to be a dark gray or dark charcoal or dark blue. So that is the same thing here. So I'm not doing actual black on his hat. And then I took some blue paint and I'm going to be adding a blue trim on his hat. And then I'm going to paint over his scarf with that blue as well. My grandmother loves blue, so I decided to make my snowman scarf and his little trim pieces blue and green just to do that for her. But you can, you're decorating a snowman. You can have fun with it and do whatever you want. One thing that would be fun is if you have certain snowman gear. Like I know when I was little, I had a scarf that I would always put on my snowman if I made one, which truthfully was fairly rare because I hate to be cold and I don't really like to be outside when it's wintry and snowing. But if I were to make one, there's a scarf that I would use. So if you have something like that, you can make it so it looks like the snowman that you always make or made. Just go over and sort of touch up all your blue, take some diluted blue and charcoal paint and sort of set that into his mouth. Then with green paint, like I said, I'm going to add some details over my scarf. So I started by dry brushing over it. Then I painted little tassel pieces green and added a couple streaks of green here and there over the top of my texture just to make it look like it's got sort of a green thread woven through it. Then I'm going to be painting his eyes with charcoal and black. So I started out with just a layer of charcoal over them, and then I took a little bit of black paint and added a shadow on them, which will just pop them out a little bit more. So they're not, like I said, just a solid black either. They have a bit more gradation in them. Just add that, add a little bit of eyebrows for him, then paint his nose with an orange color. Obviously, carrot nose needs to be orange. I blended in some white to highlight it, a little bit of subtle highlighting there. And then with brown paint, I'm going to be painting over his arms. Of the things that I did that I was thinking, oh man, I really wish I would have done this with a color of clay instead of painting it later, was his arms for whatever reason. I thought, man, this is just the last thing that I feel like painting right now. But yeah, you can't leave a project unfinished. So just add his arms. I did add a little shadow by blending in some black paint along the bottom edge of his arms. I glued a little red rhinestone between the leaves on his hat to just add a little bit of sparkle there. And then I'm going to be painting with multi-surface acrylic paint. I'm going to be adding little snowflakes above him. So the multi-surface acrylic paint, which is something that I frequently will bring up because I use it in so many projects, is definitely something that I would recommend anybody that likes to be kind of crafty or do projects like this pick up. It's super inexpensive. It's in the craft paint. It says multi-surface on it, but it's paint that can be painted on glass. It can be painted on wood, plastic, just about anything it does stick to, which is amazing in its own right. It's indoor, outdoor. It can go in the oven, in the dishwasher. And it's just a really nice thing to have on hand because it is very versatile and can be painted on glass, which most paint cannot. So then I just added some polka dots in the background, and that is it. I do have some lighted sticks that I threw in there because I thought that just sort of finished off the whole thing. So I hope you guys like this as much as I do, and please share any recreations with me and check out my Facebook and Instagram accounts for more of my art, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!